Tell Us About Yourself is sponsored by bonusround.ca, streaming Canada's classic game shows on demand. Dive into the golden age of television with thousands of episodes of Canadian series that defined an era from anywhere in the world, all for just $1.99 a month. From iconic shows like Let's Make a Deal and Definition to cult classics like Bumper Stumpers and The Mad Dash, bonusround.ca brings you timeless entertainment that's fun, enlightening, and affordable. For less than the price of a cup of coffee, relive the magic of Canadian television history. Subscribe now at bonusround.ca for $1.99, download the free Bonus Round app on iOS, Android, and Roku, and turn every night into Game Show Night. By Game Show Forensics. In a world where game show imperfections go unchecked, where judgment calls are questionable, and where clocks tick with unsynced inaccuracy, there is but one elite force to investigate it all. Armed with the latest in atomic electromagnetometer and gas chromatography mass spectrometry technology, Game Show Forensics is always on the case. Join Robert McKee and his elite squad of game show scientists as they dive headfirst into the most absurd depths possible at GameShowForensics.com. Adult discretion is advised. And by The Inn at Leola Village. Nestled in the heart of picturesque Pennsylvania, the Inn at Leola Village is a sanctuary of luxury and relaxation. Indulge in the timeless beauty of their historic suites, each meticulously designed to transport you to a bygone era of elegance and grace. Experience the culinary delights of their award-winning Italian restaurant, where every dish is a masterpiece crafted from the finest local ingredients. From romantic getaways to corporate retreats, the Inn at Leola Village offers a haven for every occasion. Unwind at the spa, stroll through the lush gardens, and let the stress of everyday life melt away. Make your reservation today at theinnatleolavillage.com or call the front desk at area code 717-656-7002. The Inn at Leola Village, an oasis of luxury. Tell Us About Yourself. Conversations with Game Show Contestants is produced in partnership with the Strong National Museum of Play in Rochester, New York, one of the largest history museums in the United States, and one of the leading museums serving families with highly interactive exhibits and programs. Since 1968, the Strong Museum has been dedicated to exploring the ways in which play encourages learning, creativity, and discovery, and how it illuminates cultural history. And their National Archives of Game Show History. Founded by industry veterans Bob Bowden and Howard Blumenthal, the archive is home to thousands of artifacts representing over 80 years of broadcasting, including props, set designs, video interviews with game show professionals, and other iconic elements from the history of television at play. For more information about the National Archives of Game Show History or the Strong National Museum of Play, visit museumofplay.org or call area code 585-263-2700.
Blue 35.
Tell us about yourself, would you?
Tell us something about you.
For any new viewers, won't you tell us again about yourself?
We've met before, but let's meet again. Tell us about
What
yourself.
else can you tell us about yourself?
Perhaps you'd fill us in again and tell us about yourself.
Hi, I'm Mike Dexbach. I'm from Moscow, Russia. I've worked on quite a number of Russian game shows and have a weirdly wide and wild variety of job titles. I'm a question writer on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. I'm what we call a statistician on Family Feud. I'm a software and game equipment developer on Russian Jeopardy, to name a few. I've produced and directed a couple game shows myself. Whether to call them homemade or not is up for debate. I'm the voice of a couple Jackbox games. That was fun. But in order to qualify for this podcast, I'm supposed to be a former game show contestant. So yeah, I did that too. And yes, I did end up working on some of the shows I was a contestant on.
Mike, tell me the context in which the game show industry exists in Russia. When did this type of TV become popular? And how did you first learn about it?
Well, I've loved television in general my whole life, and since I can just remember myself being alive, the game show specifically, this started to gain popularity immediately as they started being shown on TV. So like early 90s, I think it was just before the USSR collapsed. So we've quote unquote stolen a couple of game shows that were later licensed properly. And they were big hits and they just multiplied over time. But now we have still Millionaire, Family Feud, like what I've listed just now where I work at. There aren't as many as they used to be in like the early like 2000s. It was like the golden time. We've watched a new game show almost like every day. Was Monday was Weakest Link, Tuesday was I don't know Russian Roulette, Wednesday was Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, and stuff. Now just kind of looks like it's dying out, but we are very much trying to not let it die. We're trying to pull some strings, as they say, and pull some new game shows from around the world, but it's getting quite harder because of the things that are happening. Let's put it this way.
Oh, I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is very difficult. And I know that if the trajectory of the American game show industry is anything to learn from, the industry in other areas when it comes to that kind of TV will be the same. We have ups and downs as well. There were times in the late 80s, early 90s where, talk shows became very popular and game shows sort of faded away, except for the two really big popular ones, Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy. And we had a couple others, here and there. So I'm sure it will come back. Game shows are one of those types of entertainment that sort of ebbs and flows in terms of popularity.
It's like cyclical. Like we've had those like court shows thing, I don't know, like 10 years or 15 years ago. It kind of died out. The game shows came back. Now the game shows are dying out. The court shows are coming back. The talk shows, and with, again, I will have to bring this topic up a couple times. When the war started, like all those, like the Russian propaganda shows start popping up. They call them talk shows, but they're really not. And they just replaced all the good stuff. A lot of game shows, a lot of fun stuff. Let's put it this way. We are due, like, when this stuff is over, finally, one way or another, we are due to just make the game shows come back properly, not making up our own, like, how do I say this? Like, not exactly up to snuff game shows, so we don't have to like license anything, or so we don't have to like steal anything. Just make a couple changes and call it our own. That happened a couple times too. I just think the only thing to do about the game shows in Russia specifically is just wait.
Right, because eventually they will come back in some form because they have to. They've become really an essential part of TV. I think no matter what country you're talking about, people love game shows. When you were growing up, tell me about some of the game shows that you enjoyed. What did you watch as a kid growing up in Russia?
Oh, well, the biggest thing when I was growing up was Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, definitely. Because it was like the game with the biggest prize. It was all dramatic and stuff. It was the first show to go for that big of a prize. There was Name That Tune. It's also still going somehow. That's fun. That one's fun. What else did I watch? Like I was growing up during that golden time, as I said. We had Russian roulette. We had The Weakest Link. That's when it started first. The Weakest Link. We've had a lot of stuff that flopped in other countries, but somehow worked in Russia. Shafted we had on 2 different networks 2 times. It worked for a while somehow. What else was there? We still have Wheel of Fortune that started like back in the early 90s. It has next to nothing to do with what you think is Wheel of Fortune is.
Right, and I will say of all the Russian game shows, I think I am most familiar with the Russian Wheel of Fortune, only because it is such a different show compared to what we might know as Wheel of
Absolutely, yeah.
Fortune here. And I think that owes a lot to the cultural differences, and it is fascinating to watch. I wonder what you can tell me about that version of Wheel of Fortune. I wonder if you can explain a couple of the major differences between the American version Wheel of Fortune and what you have there.
Well, in short, the American version is about prizes, it's about money, it's about winning the game, it's about the $1 million. The Russian version is about the people. They come from the middle of nowhere, where that show is the biggest thing on television for them still, and it just can be bring these gifts for the host. That's the thing that's been, I don't know, it's been a thing for like 30 years. They genuinely bring like food from the region, like those like pickles in jars. It's like a running joke basically. And yeah, that's not really about the game much anymore. Although there is a game, they guess the words, they win prizes, they get money, but it's not really. It getting kind of it's a mix of like a comedy show with a game show, but it's not a comedy show on purpose. It's just funny because of how ridiculous it is.
Right. Yeah, what I've seen of the show, and I don't speak Russian, but I've seen it through subtitles. It seems like the game sort of takes a back seat to the conversation that occurs
Oh,
between the
absolutely,
host
yeah.
and the contestants. And even the wheel, if I'm not mistaken, spins very slowly, almost makes more time for conversation as the game is being played.
Yeah, but yeah, that's on purpose. Yeah, because it's more about talking to the contestants and not about the game. The game is still there, as I said, but it's like they guess, if I remember correctly, right now, there are 3 rounds, so 3 words, and then a final when there is a crossword of 3 was 6 words total. And before that, there was just 4 words. There was no crossword in the final. 4 words, the whole show, an hour-long show, just 4 words.
When it comes to a show like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, in the
Yeah.
context of Russian culture, is a show like that as much of a culture shift as it was here? Here, a show like that becomes equated, I think, to the American dream for some people, that because of their knowledge and their talent, they can, win $1 million and they can become what we consider to be the example of American success. What did that kind of money mean to people in Russia around the time that Who Wants to Be a Millionaire began?
Well, it began in 2001, I believe, in Russia. The prize was 1 million rubles. God knows how much it was in dollars. I don't know. We have to convert it later.
Right.
Um, in 2005, I believe, it became 3 million rubles because it just that's how money works. Million rubles didn't mean much.
Sure.
And it's still 3 million now, and it feels like, why aren't we raising the price? Rising the price, making the price bigger, because 3 million is not that much money. 3 million rubles. Because if I compare it to like the the original, the British, who wants to win £1 million. Like, you win that money, you win a new life for yourself. You don't need to work anymore. Your kids don't need to work anymore if you use the money correctly. Let's put it this way. 3 million rubles, you can't even buy a nice car. It's just not like it won't change your life. It's a nice amount of money, yeah, but it won't change your life differently. Like, and for example, like the second safe level, question 10 is 100,000 rubles. And then they take 13% tax off it. It's just not interesting, really.
Right. So it's even less. Yeah, I just did the math here. 3 million rubles as of the time that we're recording right now is $36,000, which is maybe like a good new car, and maybe a little bit of gas money.
Yeah. But when it started in 2001, 1 million rubles was a lot of money. That show was how it's supposed to be. It was about money. Like you win a million, you absolutely win a new life for yourself. Maybe not to the same level as £1 million, but yeah, it was a solid amount of money. It was very dramatic. There were a couple moments when the first show just started on one network. They never had the winner. Nobody ever won $1 million at that point. But was, for example, one moment when there was a guy who got to question 15. He stopped playing. He walked away, did the right thing because he was thinking wrong. There was like thunderous applause because he did it right. He walked away at the exactly right moment. Right now, when you walk away at question 15, like the audience, they don't care. They just whatever.
There's not as much drama. Sure.
Yeah, because whether you win like 1,500,000, 1.5 million, or 100,000, yeah, whatever. It's not that much. It doesn't make much difference to your life when you win either 100,000 or 1.5 million rubles.
And before shows like Millionaire, what did the prizes look like on game shows in Russia before that time?
Well, before that time, I think it was mostly prizes, like physical prizes. You would win like cars, I don't know, like appliances, that stuff. And I think the first show that started it was Wheel of Fortune. Actually, the prizes were a big deal when it started. They did offer like appliances that were, a rare thing to find in the early 90s in Russia. Like if you win, like, I don't know, not a jukebox, what it's called? I think that plays music,
like a stereo,
the giant
record player.
A stereo, yeah.
Right.
If you win a stereo, like, it's a giant deal. Like the whole country would be happy for you because you won that stereo. Yeah, that's how much big of a deal it was.
National pride, yeah. That's incredible.
Yes, exactly.
That's funny. I remember seeing a very early episode of Russian Wheel of Fortune, and I believe one of the prizes was a few pairs of blue jeans, which as an American I found fascinating.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Jeans it's just, again, a running joke still, because they're considered like the American thing, like the American clothes. And back in the early 90s, again, like, well, it was cool. Like, yeah, if you own like a pair of jeans, like, yeah, you're the celebrity of your, I don't know, your street or whatever. But right now it would be a joke if you do that. But back then it was a very serious prize.
I remember being a certain age, I'll say 11, 12, 13 years old, and finding online communities that were filled with people who loved game shows as much as I did, because I've loved this stuff my entire life. When and how did you find that group of people for yourself? How did that come about, that you learned that there were other people who also loved game shows as much as you did?
Don't remember that the exact moment. I found a lot of like my game show loving friends, let's put this way, online. And we've started, I think you probably heard of it, gameshows.ru.
Oh, yes.
Website.
Oh, yes. Big fan.
We started that. I was like in the beginning of it. I don't really, I almost said I don't care. No, I do care. I don't really do much about that website anymore. But yeah, we've started that. We've visited a lot of quite a lot of filmings, like as audience members. A lot of us who were over 18 tried to play some games. Yeah, it was like very slowly growing, but like non-stop growing community. That was fun, and it's still like it's quite a lot of people, and it feels nice. It almost feels weird, like that many, like something that's so like every day, like yeah, TV game shows, whatever. There's such a big community of people who care, so to speak, and
Oh,
also
I'm shocked by it
yeah,
all the time, just how many people there are and just how big that community is. Yeah, yeah, right. Like you said, for something so narrow, it's such a narrow interest, but there's so much passion behind it.
yeah, and also a lot of us just we don't just care about the game. We care about like I work in TV. I care just care about the game. I care about the graphics, the music, the script, the set, all that stuff. And I genuinely have like on my phone a very unhealthy large collection of game show soundtracks that I listen to regularly.
That's fantastic. Which ones? Which ones do you listen to most often?
Well, I like Millionaire. That's like classic, I guess the word is.
Sure.
I'm open my thing right now. Look what I have.
Yeah, let's
I
take a
have
look. I love it.
Yeah, I have the Weakest Link. I have the Floor. Apparently it's available to buy from some website.
Oh,
The Floor
interesting.
soundtrack. Yeah, it was an interesting experience buying that because you had to have like foreign bank card or whatever. Yeah, it's quite a lot of Russian roulette, the Russian version. Yeah, a lot of yeah, quite an amount, and it's just really weird. Like when like a little bit of personal experience. Like when you try to um create a profile for yourself on, let's say, a dating app, and it says like it asks you like like what do you like, what music do you listen to, like do you really want to include that?
Right.
Isn't that too isn't that too weird? Maybe let them know like on dates like 30 that you
Yeah,
that's
I
what
would
you
say
listen
give it
to.
a few dates before you break out the Floor soundtrack.
Yeah, but no, that's not what I did. I went straight ahead and got a great catch, as they say.
Good for y'all. Wonderful. I love it. You know what's funny? Every time you mention the show Russian roulette, I'm a little
Yeah.
surprised that they call it Russian roulette in Russia. I didn't know that was a phrase there as well.
Yeah, it is. It absolutely is.
I
Yeah,
I had no idea. It's I love this conversation because it's highlighting for me a lot of the cultural differences. You know what I mean? Like I realize you ever have a conversation with somebody and you just realize how large the world is? You
oh
know, and
yeah.
you realize just how much you don't know.
Hmm.
It's refreshing to have a guest about whom I know relatively little. I get to learn and discover. This is fantastic. Um, on the subject of the game shows in Russia and prizes and merchandise, has there ever been a Russian adaptation of The Price is Right? Are you familiar with that show?
Yeah, I am very familiar. There was one. It's uh I don't even remember for how long it ran. I can look it up real quick. It was nice. I've actually remember that I've catch like the first episode because I like, wow, a new game show. I need to watch that. And it was I don't remember exact time. It was like 9 a.m. the premiere episode.
Right.
So they made it like a morning television, so fun and stuff. It differed from the original quite a lot in the ways that you don't really expect. Like for example, like there are four people in the beginning. Like they make the bids. If they win, they don't win that prize they bid on. They just win the spot in the game.
Oh, that's
You
just
in
okay.
order
Yeah,
in
right. So
order
they
to
don't take
win
the
the
prize home. That's just like the qualifying round.
yeah. In order to win that prize, you need to do an exact bid, which I think never happened. Maybe it did. I don't know. Didn't watch every episode. Maybe it did. I don't know.
Right.
The show is kind of slower. It's like slow paced more, but I think like uh, every Russian version of a game show is more slow than like an American version, because American TV is like so fast all the time. Really like a quick pace. I mean,
Oh yeah, especially The Price is Right. Oh my God, if you're not used to it,
it is so quick. Yeah.
Yeah.
When I first I didn't when I watched the first episode of the Russian version, I didn't know like that there was an original. I just new game show. Then years later, I found out about the original. The price was like, wow! I was so overwhelmed with the speed.
Oh,
the
it's like
prizes
a
that-
circus, absolutely. And being
it's-
there, yeah, I was a contestant in 2007. Being there and being in the middle of that is like a sensory overload. It's unbelievable.
yeah. Watching it was the central. You Enter of the Gladiators .mp3. It was so crazy.
Yeah, right.
I looked it up. It started in 2005 and lasted until the middle of 2006, so it didn't last that long.
Yeah, relatively recently though.
Well, yeah, kind of, yeah, but it was fun. Yeah, I watched. I remember watching. Looking, yeah, it's a fun game show.
Sure. Well, I guess I say relatively recently. I mean, like in the scope of The Price is Right, because ours has been on for half a century. It started in 1972. So I guess yeah, it's 30 years into the life of our current one. Mike, let's talk about your contestant experiences. Now, when it comes to game shows in America, the process is pretty straightforward. No matter what show it is, there's some sort of application process. Depending on the type of show, there's a test, there's an in-person interview, there's an interview on Zoom, and a callback, an audition. Tell me about the processes that you've gone through applying to be a contestant for game shows in your country.
Well, it differs widely between production teams. It can be just an online forum. It can be an online forum. Then you come in person to have a chat with the producers. Then you have like a test game or whatever. It can be just what I did with the Cube, for example. It was in Ukraine, but I flew to Ukraine for like a for the casting process thing. There was a lot of people, a lot of like steps. You fill a form, you go in this room and talk to these people, you go in this room and throw balls in a bucket, you go in this room and do that. Flew back, got a call, got on the show, flew back again, got in there. So it was kind of a crazy process, like ahead of the game. For, let's say, the weakest link, it was just I've sent in the form. About a week later, I got an email that I'm put on as a standby contestant. For example, if somebody like gets sick or whatever, or doesn't come at all, whatever, I'm on standby.
Right.
And yeah. And I was on this like restarted version of the Weakest Link on the second episode they filmed. On the first day, the second episode. Because I was sitting in the studio, like just in the corner. I was looking at the set, just in case, like I'm right there, and I was needed on the very second show they filmed.
That's incredibly lucky. That doesn't happen very often. At least in my experience, I've been a backup contestant a couple times, and that's the last I ever hear from them usually.
Yeah, well, and with the Weakest Link specifically, it was the first day this production team started filming the show. It just restarted. It's their first day. I love them, but at that point, they did not know what they were doing. And I work there, and still, like, they did not know what they were doing. It was kind of crazy. Like, the Weakest Link is filmed, at least in Russia, 3 shows a day for 4 days in a row. But those first filmings, it was just, if I remember correctly, just 3 days, and the first day was just 2 shows because they're just getting into it and whatever. We finished filming the second show, I think it was 3 a.m. We did not think, nobody did think straight. We were just looking like we were about to die. It was hot. It was just weird and crazy. And okay, so we filmed it. I've lost miserably. It's fine, whatever. I came again on the next day because one of my friends was supposed to be playing the game. I was supposed to be just in the corner, just as support or whatever. And in the beginning, just about when the show was about to start, like one of the producers comes to me like, we need a person to stand next to the contestants when there are breaks in the filming and control them, basically listen to what they're talking about and not let them talk about the game, because that's no, you are not allowed to talk about the game. When the moment you walk into the studio, you are not allowed to talk about the game.
Sure.
Unless the cameras are recording. And there are I think at that time there were 4 what they call administrators, but it's just people who just stand next to contestants and listen. And one of them on that day was like getting sick and sent home. And that what kind of kick-started my whole career in game shows. I just was like, yes, stood next to contestants. A couple months later, I'm writing questions. A couple months later, I'm on a different game show doing things. And right now, I'm all those things I said in the beginning and more. Just because I was there to support my friend.
That's incredible. Just at the right place at the right time. That is a universal. That's a universal lesson, I think. It's all about being in the right place at the right time. And you hear it so often, especially when it comes to people that get work in the television industry, that, they just, they might have known the right people, but at the end of the day, it's about being present for the opportunity.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So tell me about the experience that you had on The Weakest Link. Did you win anything?
No, I was kicked out after round 4, and I was in the tie for 3 rounds in a row. So they really wanted me out. But it took some time.
And are you a strong general knowledge player? Are you good at trivia?
I like to think that I am, but when I at that moment specifically, I was like just above average, I would say. Which on Weakest Link is not enough. So yeah, they were trying to get me out for 3 rounds in a row. But I did not feel like sad about it at all. I've watched the show later to see like what the questions were in the final round. Like there was absolutely no way I'm winning that. It was so difficult. I didn't answer anything in the final. So yeah, 4 rounds is fine. I had my fun. I'm okay. Bye.
Sure, yeah, just as long as you were supposed to be there, I think. Yeah, absolutely. So after The Weakest Link, tell me the other shows that you were a contestant on.
Oh boy, where do I start? I've been a contestant quite a number of shows. So The Weakest Link was the last one, because after that I'm working there. I can't be on any.
Yeah, sure.
Right before that was Family Feud. I went with my it's my team of like, it's a mix of game show lovers and like TV lovers in general, like just my friends basically, and we like film our own game shows. We just commentate Eurovision. That was a thing we did. That stuff. Just friends who make content. So let's put it this way.
Sure.
So yeah,
so on your version of Family Feud, you don't have to be a family.
No, absolutely not.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Understood.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty sure it wasn't a thing since the beginning. I might be wrong. Like, occasionally there are like games when there's family against the family, but it's a rare occasion.
What is the show called in Russia if it's not involving families?
It's called Stok Одному. It can be translated as 100 to 1.
Oh,
So
okay. Gotcha. Yeah, referring to the survey questions. Right.
Yeah. So in the show it is just as we compared the Wheel of Fortune, the US and the Russian. Russian Family Feud is not about the money. It's not about winning. It's about having fun. There is a prize at the end. You can win money, but it's absolutely not about the winning. It's again right now it's 100,000 rubles, Before that it was 50. Before that it was 25,000. It's not like nobody cares. It's not about winning the game. It's about having fun.
Right. Yeah. So another one of those shows that kind of that focuses on the contestant interaction rather than putting so much emphasis on the game.
Yeah, and it's morning TV again in Russia. So I think it's 9 a.m. or 10 a.m. something like that on weekends. Saturday, Sunday. So it's absolutely not. It's like the set is very bright, like orange and whatever, not like dark and blue like American, for example. It's about fun, not about drama and winning.
I mean, your opinion, should game shows be more about fun, or should they be more about that dimly lit black floor sort of drama?
I think it depends also on the game show we're talking about, because you can take a dramatic format and try to make it fun and look if it works. And with, for example, Russian Family Feud, it does work. It's an incredible show. It's been on for 30 years. It's great. It works fine. You can take a format that's supposed to be fun and try to make it dramatic and not work. It happened with I think it's just called Wipeout in America, the one with like the water and the obstacles, that stuff.
Yeah, Wipeout, right?
Yeah, and I think it's Total Wipeout in the UK. It's like 3/4 of it is about fun. It's about how people are just falling into mud and whatever. One of our networks took that show and made it dramatic, made it very serious, like Fear Factor almost. It did not work. It looked so weird, like celebrities falling into water, into mud, into whatever. Like you feel like you're supposed to laugh at them, but the announcer doesn't let you because of the serious voice and serious music. It looked so weird. It died very quickly. Other network bought the format, made it the proper way, and it worked because it's supposed to be fun. Celebrities falling into mud is fun.
Yeah, right. Sure. It's the
Yeah.
tone has to match.
Yeah, absolutely. So making the opposite, making it fun, dramatic, doesn't really work quite often. I think it might be like you can try some other game shows and look if it works, but it's way more risk rather than doing it the other way around, taking something dramatic and making it fun.
Yeah, I think that always has a better chance of working. TV is supposed to be. A good friend reminded me of that once. That game shows are supposed to be fun at the end of the day, and I think even the very dramatic shows, they're not overly dramatic. They're dramatic in a way that still respects the nature of the game that they're playing.
Yeah, but just the television in general, its main purpose is entertainment and like news or whatever. It's supposed to be like you turn it on and you just have a nice evening.
Yeah,
or nice
exactly.
morning or whatever. It's not supposed to like you turn it on and you immediately want to just cry whatever because somebody lost money or whatever.
Right. It's supposed right. That's what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be entertaining. And I think in America they overdo it sometimes. I think about our version of Family Feud, and sometimes I'll listen to the show and just in my head sort of note how many times the audience applauds for everything.
Oh
You know,
yeah,
the
when I watched it like on YouTube a couple for like the first time, like I genuinely thought it was like canned audience, like it was just edited in. Later found out no, like they make that people clap a lot.
Oh,
It's-
yes, they do. I was in the audience for Deal or No Deal once, and I remember at the very end of the taping, they did 3 episodes. And at the end of the taping, they kept the audience to record some pickup shots or things that they would use
Uh-huh.
later. And they had everybody applaud for 3 solid minutes.
Oh dear.
And if you ever sit there and clap
Sounds
your
painful.
hands, oh my God, my hands were numb by the time we were done. But they just needed that like natural audio. Yeah, they make it clap, they make you do all kinds of stuff.
I like almost like it's just a fun quirk I have. I can almost always correctly tell if that shot is a pickup shot film later or not. It's just a game we play like with my friends who like game show lovers or whatever. Because they
right, to tell which shots were done later.
always look so out of place.
Yep.
It's
Yep.
just-
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For
I
example,
know
on
exactly what you mean.
you know, on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, that's what we do. I mean, I hope I won't get fired because look at. I mean, people know that's what we do. After the taping is almost done, we film Ask the Audience thing. Like people pick up the keyboards and vote. It looks so fake. Everybody like at the same exact moment just pick the keyboards up right in front of their face, like they're taking a selfie with the phone.
Right.
It looks it looks so stupid, and just I think I need you to show it later, like it's been showed over. The keyboards on Russian they're giant. Like imagine an iPhone but twice as long.
Oh, the audience keypads to the
Audience
record
keypads,
their
yeah.
answers. Right. Okay.
Yeah, the buttons are giant. It has a display on it, like one 7-segment display in the middle. You press a button, it like shows the letter you're pressing, so everybody around you sees what you've entered. It looks so crazy and like almost like I don't know, like a robotic audience. They've stopped using like this shot when they pick up the keypads, like all the like I don't know, like 200 people or whatever, all at the same time. Yep, like it just it was so crazy.
Right.
But they're still using those you can do this like take your phone, put in front of your face, and imagine like 200 people doing that.
Yeah, I'm doing it right now. That's silly.
It's so stupid. Like you won't do that when you vote. Like you will pick it up, press the button, put it down. You can do that. It's fine. I'm like as audience at home. I don't need you to prove to me that there are keyboards. You don't need me to show it to me like that. But
Right.
it's still what they do all the time. I hope genuinely hope that I won't get fired over this, but it's not really that big of a secret. Like it's so obvious.
Well, if you find out that you'll get fired, let me know and I'll cut it out.
Okay.
No problem. On that subject, and we'll talk more about the contestant stuff as well. But I'm fascinated talking about game shows with you. On that subject, when we talk about staging and the way shots are composed and just the general look of a game show, when you look at the equivalent of that type of TV in America, when you look at American game shows, are there any design trends or things that we do with our shows that you really like that Russian game shows don't do?
Interesting question. Well, I think it's not just game shows really, it's just TV sets in general, like a lot of like LED screens everywhere. Like when the whole set is LED screens. A lot of people don't like that. I do. Like that's fun. But it's also expensive. So not many shows use that here. For example, we're really trying to make The Floor happen here. But it's an expensive show because of the giant, floor that's there.
Oh,
And-
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and that's what like those LED screens, they made that show possible because you can look at the floor and that's where the game is happening, and you need the floor to change with the game progress. And I've started like kind of like asking people who work with the screens on other shows, like, do we even have that? Do we have screens that can be walked on? And apparently we do. There are like rental places where you can rent those things. And I'm like, what's the holdup? Let's make the show happen.
Right.
I'm as far as I know, like there are producers who are desperately trying to make that show happen, but that's all I can tell right now. I don't know much about what's going on there. But I really want that show to happen. I really like that show.
The Floor is an excellent show, and the way they produce it in America, I don't know that I'm a huge fan of. They tend to focus on a lot of American game shows these days tend to focus more on the personal story of the contestant rather than the game itself. And I think that's a mistake when it comes to producing a show. I think that if you're making a game show, the game should be center stage. I think that's what people watch for. And there's room to identify with the contestant, but to make it such a main talking point of the show, I don't know that that's a good idea. But the floor itself as a game, oh, fantastic game.
Yeah, and they still have like those things that I usually hate, those like little interviews that they film after the thing, but they keep it like kind of minimal, so it's just enough to know the people better, but the game is still like front and center. So that's why I like it a lot. I've liked I've watched a very healthy amount of like international versions of the floor, and it's almost exactly the same everywhere, and I love it. It works, but on a lot of shows, yeah, those parts, those like interviews, the like on the weakest link, like after the round, but they are way longer. They take up like half the show. Like I'm not watching the game show to know those, like, to learn about these people. I mean, I do care about them because they're on the show I like, but I don't need the life story. I want to see them win or lose money or whatever.
Right, yeah, that's
And
what you
it's
watch a game
yeah.
show for. Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
Of
and
course.
sometimes it just becomes like almost, it looks like a reality show because of all the interviews, but it's not, it's a game show.
You mentioned liking sets that contained a lot of LEDs and screens and things of that nature. I wonder how far we can take that. This past Monday, there was the premiere of a reboot of a game show from the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s called Tic-Tac-Dough. I don't know if you're familiar with Tic-Tac-Dough.
I've heard of it. I don't know much about it.
It's essentially tic-tac-toe with trivia. Each box has a category, and you pick your box. If you get the question right, you get to put your X or your O. And every time somebody puts an X or an O, they add money to a pot. When you win the game, you win the money in the pot. This new version is filmed on a completely CGI set. There is no physical game board. There are no physical podiums. There are no set pieces. It's the host and two contestants in front of a green screen, I believe in a studio in Israel, and there's no physical set.
I gotta admit, I'm not a big fan of those because it doesn't, when you're playing the game as a contestant, doesn't feel right because you're in the middle of nowhere. You don't see anything. You don't know what's happening. And like the mood is wrong because when you watch the final edit, like the mood is wrong. Like you see the fake set or whatever. It might be beautiful and dramatic and whatnot, but the mood of the people doesn't match it because they don't see it.
Right. That is honestly one of my biggest complaints about it. It looks cool, but is it practical? I don't think so, because you lose a lot of the energy that a game show needs. The contestants need to be excited. It's hard to be excited when, it's you and two other people in a room. You don't have that energy from the audience to feed off of.
Yeah, and it's not just the sets, it can be the music too. Like, for example, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, when we were, again, restarting the show as the new one, I had to basically fight with sound guys about the fact that the music, the background music, should be heard, it should be played in the studio. You should be able to hear it in the studio.
Yeah.
Because it creates the drama, it creates the mood. You need it. It's an important part of the show. The only thing that's music that's always added in post is like questions 1 through 5, because it's not editable really. But all the rest of it is played in the studio, and that's how it's supposed to be. But they wanted it added in post because it's like makes sound editing difficult. And I understand how it can make sound editing difficult, but I mean, the mood of the game is more important. Do your job. It's your job to make it work.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I was on the show in 2009, and when I was on the show, they didn't play the music through the studio. I only heard that when I watched the episode afterwards. And I wish they had. That to me is part of the experience. That's what I mean, that's what makes Who Wants to Be a Millionaire the game that it is. Other than that, it's just a trivia game, but you need that, those theatrics, that drama. That's what makes it what it is.
And I just remember that when I was playing the Cube, like on the very first game, there is no music when they're filming. There's only like two sounds that there are is when you lose or when you win. And
Oh,
it
interesting.
just
I kind of like
it,
that though, because I mean, the Cube is a more physical game. So isn't that like one less distraction?
yeah, but when you watched an unhealthy amount of episodes before, you get used to that music. You want it to be there, and when
Fair,
you
right.
come to the show, like your head just makes it like, okay, the music is about to start, but you press the button and it doesn't start, and you like lose your balance or whatever, and then it hits you. Oh, right, you are in the middle of a recording. There is no music. That's how it's supposed to be. It made me lose my first life in the game. Like I've been telling this story a lot. I forgot there would be no sound effects, and it made me just like, wait, what? Did my button work? And just, oh right, we're recording this right now. There is no music.
Right. The Cube is one of my favorite foreign shows. We had a version
Oh
here
yeah.
that I liked as well, but I was watching the Cube. I mean, years when I was in college, I used to watch it on UK TV. And just for anyone listening who maybe is not familiar with the game, the Cube is essentially, I don't know how many it is in Russia, but I remember I think there were like 7 or 8 different sort of physical challenges, and there were things involving ping pong
Mhm.
balls and playing
Yeah,
cards
yeah.
and stacking things and throwing things. Um, and the more challenging the game, the more money you win for completing it, and you get 9 lives that have to last you, throughout the game. How did you do on the cube? Tell me how you did.
I've my first game was Stop Zone, is where you press a button that the floor starts filling up with blue. It becomes invisible in the middle, and then you have to imagine how it goes further and press the button again when it's between the two red lines.
Okay.
I've lost 1 life on that. The next one was uh what's it called? Direction, where you need to walk with the helmet on without seeing anything from one corner to the other in a straight line. I lost 1 life on that as well. And the third one was Multisphere, where you need to drop, I think it was 20 balls on the floor, and in 15 seconds pick them up and put them back into like this container that's in the middle. When I was playing the game, I'm a big guy. Back then,
Mhm.
I was about twice as big as I am right now. So
Okay.
running around picking things up didn't really work.
Right.
Looking like Michelin Man running around while bent over. Just no. It's just absolutely not. I had 7 lives. I've used my simplify, and yeah, it did not work. But it still was very fun. Like the production team was great. So cool. They really cared about like the contestants not talking to their like support teams before the filming. Like you arrive like, I don't know, like 8 a.m. to the studio.
Right.
You immediately get separated. The contestants go that way, the support teams go that way, and you don't see them until the moment you walk out into the set, like until you're in front of the cube.
Oh, okay. So they do a good job of keeping you guys separate. I see what you're saying. Right.
Yeah. And what I think, I mean, I love the places I work at, but in here, almost nobody cares about it, about these little things. But and I think it's kind of important. Like it makes you like feel the things the producers really like. Like you walk out into the studio like for the first time. That's the moment you see on TV. Like when I walk out, that's the moment I see that the cube for the first time, the audience, the set, everything. You don't get a dry run. You don't get to like peek at it beforehand. The moment you
Yeah,
walk out is
sure.
the moment you walk out, and it just you can see it in the face of the people, like they're like overwhelmed when they walk out.
I love those little details when it comes to the way game shows are produced.
Yeah,
I love when producers take the time to realize how important little flourishes like that are in the scope of the whole production. I love little details like that.
Yeah, like I mean, these things are like that's what I like the most too, like about TV in general, not just game shows. Like those little details, like how the things are produced, like those little like behind the scenes things. Like I was talking when we were filming Family Feud, like I don't know, like a year ago. I was talking to our one of our camera guys. There were like a little like group of people who were like I don't know on an excursion around the set. Like I don't know, they applied somewhere or whatever. We do those things sometimes.
Okay.
And he was saying like why is it interesting? Why are the people coming? And I coming here to watch this. And I was like, about 15 years ago, I would have sold my soul to be able to walk around the set like that, being like showed around, like because it's behind the scenes, the scenes things. They're the most interesting for me, and but those people like they work there all the time and just, they get used to it. But I never got used to it. I still love it as much as I did 10, 15, 20 years ago.
That's beautiful. You mentioned earlier in the conversation about original Russian game shows not necessarily being up to snuff compared to the formats that they can license from other countries.
Yeah, well, most of them, not all of them. We have a couple like Russian-made, let's say, shows that do work nicely, but most of them are just not really good. Let's put it this
Well,
way.
tell me about one of the good ones that we might not have in America.
We have one. It's it was how do I'm trying to. It's called like Mind Game or Mind Games, if you translate it to English.
Okay.
It's a celebrity against a well-known like you would like a chaser on the chase, like a guy who knows a lot.
Oh, like intellectual. Okay.
Intellectual, yeah, that's the word. Like a person who plays a lot of who plays a lot of Jeopardy, like is known for their is known for being smart,
Sure.
and they answer. They play a game like they answer questions about that celebrity's field of expertise for first 2 rounds. Then in the round 3, they just it's still a celebrity's topic of choice, but it's a different one and it's more general one, like I don't know, like gardening or whatever. And after that, whoever wins that 3rd round, they play for the money in the final, still in the celebrity's topic of choice. Even if it's like the intellectual, like they still to win the money, they still have to know the topic a lot. And it worked quite. It still works quite nicely. It's not really that much on the air anymore, and it's really crazy to produce because like you need to write questions sometimes the day before the filming, because we have that celebrity available. Let's invite them. They picked this topic. Let's do it, and we have to write like 50 questions in a night in one evening. Just
That's insane.
that's great.
Insane.
And we don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we don't film like one show a day. We film like 5, sometimes 6, sometimes 7 a day for I think it was 3 days in a row. It's crazy, but we know about most of the subjects way beforehand, so we start writing the questions way beforehand. But the closer to the filming, the crazier it gets. Some celebrities cancel. Some celebrities cancel. The new ones appear, and it gets very wild. But it works. The show is really nice. It's I don't remember the exact like runtime. I think it's like 30 minutes. It's not that long for Russian television. It's not that long.
That sounds fun, but it also sounds like the kind of show we can never have in America because I don't know that there are a lot of famous intellectuals these days, famous intellectuals that would appear on a game show. And I don't know how many celebrities we have that would be any match for any famous intellectual here. I don't know that it would work.
Yeah, the show works like also because like for example, we had like a ballerina, let's say, as a celebrity,
Right.
and we do tell, sorry, we do tell the intellectuals beforehand what the topic of the game will be. Like that's in the rules. Like they know the topic, they prepare themselves beforehand.
Right.
because it can be something. I mean, they're smart, but like if it's ballet or whatever, and they don't know much about it, like they need to have time to prepare, or the game would be over really quickly.
Mike, when it comes to writing trivia for Russian audiences, in your experience, uh, seeing American quiz shows, American game shows, how different is your approach to writing a question for the Russian Who Wants to Be a Millionaire compared to a similar question you might see on an American show? Are there overlaps in the knowledge bases? Is there certain stuff that's asked about more often on your show that might not be asked as often here?
Mm, I don't think it's that much different. Like we obviously have more like Russian specific questions, but in general, like it's all general knowledge, like everywhere else. We kind of like steer towards more Russian specific questions, like proportionally.
Sure.
But otherwise, it's not that different. It's really not that different. We recently we make a lot of like themed episodes of Who Wants to Be Millionaire, and we have to write themed questions for that. We have to write the themed questions for, and that proved, for me personally at least, way more difficult than just writing sets that are just general knowledge. That can be whatever, geography, maths, whatever. Because when you have to like pick that topic, they put the topic in front of you, and you have just create 15 questions that are still different and interesting and whatever. It's way more difficult.
Yeah, that sounds like more of a challenge, and I think it's more of a
Yeah,
right. It's
absolutely.
more of a challenge to write questions in a theme, especially 15 questions, where you have to explore that theme from all different angles, and without writing the same question 15 times and it being boring. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and also like for example, like, the last filming we had the game. We had it was an anniversary of one specific movie that's like really loved in Russia, and we had to make 2 stacks of questions about that movie. 30 questions about one single movie. It's just, it did not work. So we kind of explained like, okay, it doesn't work. That's not possible. We need like the topic to be wider. And what we ended up as, like, the show was still about that movie, but the questions were like, I don't know, like a third of them were about that exact movie, but the others were about like movie making in general.
Oh,
And
understood. Yeah, so still sort of in the same theme, but not specifically to do with
we try to explain like, it wouldn't work. Like people would hate it. It's so spectacularly boring. Yeah. And I also like in my like again personal opinion, I don't really like those themed game shows. Like for example, that specific movie, like I don't like that movie. If I turn on like that episode and the first thing that the host tells me like the game is about the movie, that's when I'm turning off the TV. I don't want to watch that.
right.
Like
Yeah, I'm the same way. I prefer general knowledge always.
yeah, you can have like I think Millionaire like in America had some time ago like movie week, some stuff like that.
Yep.
Yeah, it can be like an occasional thing. It's fine then, but when it's all the time, like very narrow topics, it's just in my opinion, it doesn't work because it alienates quite a chunk of the audience that again doesn't like that movie, for example. Or we had a show that was about memes. Literally, I'm not kidding. A show about memes. It didn't air
Really?
yet. Yeah, it didn't air yet.
Okay.
But yeah, I still think it was the best episode we had. But the network the Millionaire is on, like the audience is like 45 plus, general most of it. Like imagine their surprise when they can't answer a question for 500 rubles. The first one, like it's just
Yeah, right. Meme
it,
culture is not really their strong suit.
yeah. We had a show about video games, like video games like from the 90s and like the early 2000s specifically. Like I like that show. That's incredible. But again, 45 plus is your audience. Did you think about that? Like, but
Right.
yeah, it's crazy. We had a lot of those like film specific ones. We had like a couple like religious holiday specific games, which is like why like so boring for me personally. But I like general knowledge more. We've stopped inviting like regular contestants. We just have celebrities now again, which I hate. But it was a problem like for years on Russian Millionaire specifically. Like celebrities not playing for charity. It just doesn't make sense in my head.
And why are there no more civilian contestants? Is it because the ratings are better with celebrities, or is it hard to find players?
I don't think it's hard to find. The ratings are, I've been recently told that, are about the same whether there are celebrities or regular contestants.
Okay.
So I really don't see the point. But yeah, it's also like weird. Like the what are they called? The monitors. No, not monitors. The tablets for the fastest finger first thing are still there, but you still just invite celebrities that just walk out the center portal and sit in the chair and play the game. It looks weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you see that's not how the things are supposed to go. And again, if it's like an occasional thing, like there's a big, like I don't know, like a New Year's special, you can invite celebrities, that's fine. But when it's all the time, I'm not interested in watching celebrities who earn way more than the show offers as a prize. Like, I don't care if they win the 3 million or not. Like, their life won't change at all. But I'm interested in that one person from the middle of nowhere trying to win the 100,000, and it might change their life. They just will buy, like, I don't know, like a new tractor or whatever.
Yeah, sure. Well, that to me, part of the fun of having regular people as contestants is the excitement, the reactions when they win. Celebrities don't react when they win a lot of money on Millionaire because it's for charity, and they're very pleased to have won it. But it's a different sort of feeling when it's somebody who is like you, has your same circumstances, and they win, and they're visibly excited. That to me, that's one of my favorite parts of a good game show.
Absolutely. Yeah, like those reactions, like that's the gold of like you can ask like any TV director, that's the gold. That's what you're after, those reactions. Like that's the main thing. That's what the whole thing is about, to get that and show it on TV. But some celebrities, like they react nicely because they know what they're doing. Like it's usually like like stand-up comedians or whatever. They are talkative. They make it fun even when it's not. And actors sometimes, like, they know what's expected of them, even though like we're not filming a movie, but they trying to like fake it. Sometimes it's visible that it's fake, sometimes it's not, but they try to make it look nice. But quite often people who are not really like TV people exactly, TV celebrities, famous for being on TV, not like in movies, whatever. Yeah, it is spectacularly boring sometimes. But people watch it. I mean, the ratings are there. They're not that different from regular people episodes. So my point is null and void, I guess. The numbers are right there.
Right. I guess they're doing something right.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen the American game show Press Your Luck?
Oh, yeah.
Have you?
Again, cue Enter of the Gladiators until MP3.
Oh, don't you love it? That is
I love it. It's incredible.
That's the show that made me fall in love with game shows when I was like 3 or 4 years old. I was fascinated with that show.
Yeah, it's incredible. It's so crazy. Like, I love it.
Yeah, I can imagine somebody from another country seeing a show like Press Your Luck and just wondering what the hell is going on. Like, it's so much energy. There's really no other show like it. I don't think there's ever been.
It took me a while to understand how the show works. Like, I've watched, I don't know, like 6 episodes before I was, okay, that's how it works. That's the rules. Okay, got it.
Right.
I've watched it through various degrees of legal. But like I've downloaded like a whole season once. Like the first time I was watching it, and I went through 6 episodes. Oh, okay, now I get it. And I've started watching it from the beginning again, knowing how the show works. Every 5 minutes, I was like, right, yeah, okay, that's why it was the right decision to do. Oh, that happens because of that. And yeah, it takes time to like adapt in your
Sure.
head,
Yeah,
but
once you
yeah, it's
figure
great.
out the rules, it's not hard to follow along with it. But yeah, if you don't know how the game is played, it's complete gibberish, you know.
Yeah, it's like it's sometimes it's quite often a problem in game shows, not just. I think in Perswag they do explain the rules like every show, but to some level. But quite often when the show is old and popular, they don't re-explain the rules ever for the audience, like at home. Like a good example, like for me, it's not exactly a game show. You know QI, the British show?
Love QI. Absolutely. That's one of my
Yeah,
favorite
yeah,
panel
love it.
shows. Love QI.
I've started watching it, I don't know, like maybe 10 years ago. It took me forever to understand what the klaxon means.
Right. Yeah. And that's
I
something that
had
they do
no
not
idea for
explain at
like 30
all.
episodes. I
Right.
had
Yeah, they
no
don't
clue for
explain
like
that at
30 episodes.
all. Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
I
I
remember
that's
showing a friend of mine that showed it. He didn't understand it either. I tried to explain to him that is when they give what you might think is the obvious answer, or what you might think is the one that
obvious
everybody
but
always
wrong.
thought was
Yeah.
right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it took generally like I was like, okay, enough. I need to understand what's happening. I've found the very first episode where Stephen Fry explains what's happening. Like, oh, nobody cares about the points. Okay, and that means it's obvious but wrong. Okay, got it.
Yeah,
Because
yeah, right.
I've
They just play it for fun. I
yeah, for like 5 episodes, I feel like where do these points come from? Like, why isn't there like a graphic telling me what this game situation is? And then it'd be, oh, it's a British panel show.
right,
It's
right.
not
There is
about the
no
game at
scoring
all.
system.
Yeah.
Right. It's completely irrelevant. When I was younger, when I was really little, I remember and talking about watching shows and loving them and not really understanding them until much later. There was a show that I used to watch in reruns when I was younger called The Joker's Wild, and it was two players, and they would answer questions from categories, but the categories would come from a giant slot machine that they had on stage. So each contestant had the bar in front of them, and they'd pull the handle down, and the big wheels would spin. And I never understood the scoring system, because it was like if you spin two categories, it's worth $100. If you spin one, it's worth 50. A Joker, it can be any category. And I remember just like loving the show, but also having no idea what the rules were. I just loved watching it.
Yeah, kind of when rules are that complicated, but it somehow doesn't take away from the experience, it somehow makes it better. So, sometimes, I guess. Like, you, it, they explain it to you, but they don't expect you to follow the rules. Because for you as the person watching at home, like it's not about the rules. It's about, again, the fun, the contestants being happy or sad about winning or losing.
Absolutely. Well, also, I think a good game show as well, the rules shouldn't be something that you have to always remember to follow. A good game show, I think the rules are second nature. So you're not even thinking about following them. You're just following along because they're simple enough and they're intuitive enough.
Yeah, like good example I just thought about on Russian Wheel of Fortune. There are no screens showing the score, and so no until the final round, you don't know how, unless you've been counting in your head, how much points do the contestants have, because it's, again, not about it, the show itself. Like, it's not about the points. It's not about the game, really. But when it's the final round, like, they remind, oh, you have like 8,000 whatever points, and you're just supposed to believe it. Like, okay, yeah.
That's funny. I don't think there is a game show that represents the differences between American culture and Russian culture more than Wheel of Fortune. I'm thinking more and more about the nature of your version of the show, and again, how it's slower paced. It's not so focused on the game, and the prizes are secondary, and it's about the conversation and the joke. You could win $1 million on Wheel of Fortune in America.
Yeah.
Just like the difference between the two to me is just is so fascinating, especially thinking about game shows as something that uh, I think to a lot of people are symbols of American culture or American kind of decadence or greed, whatever however you want to say
Mhm.
it. But just thinking about it in that context is super interesting.
Yeah, and sometimes it's interesting, like for me, when I like from years ago, like right now it doesn't happen that much. When I hear like, oh, they've picked up that format that I like, that British format or American format that I like, that I saw, it might be nice, and then you see it and it's crap, and you're like, why? Like, why did you do it this way? Because you're used to the original, and you think that
Right.
that's the correct way of doing it. And then you think, okay, maybe like they've changed things. Like, I mean, they're smart people, the producers. They know what they're doing. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Like, for example, I was very disappointed at the Russian version of the £1,000,000 Drop.
Oh, what was
Or the money
disappointing about
drop.
it? I love that game.
The money drop. I love that game. Yeah, when it was adapted, like it was made so badly. It was. I don't even like. I don't even.
What makes it bad? Was it a change in the rules? Was it the set?
It was 10 times too slow. It was so slow paced.
Okay.
You in for example, in the British original, you can go through I don't know, like 15 questions in a show, depending on the episode, 15, 20. Like it's quite quick. When the question is the answer is obvious, or the contestant like explain the answer, like there was no point in intrigue in those like brrr music playing.
Right.
Whatever. Like they just open the drops immediately. Like they win, they take the money back. Whatever. In the Russian version, like it doesn't matter. They will put that in 10, 15 seconds of those like brrr music, and will almost always open the drops one by one when there is absolutely no point like stretching it.
Right, especially on like
It was
right, like on the first question, which is always easier
first
than the
question
rest.
when. Yeah, it's sometimes when like you see because you see the answers first, it's sometimes obvious what the answer would be even before you see the question, because of how simple it is. But it's still like all that intrigue that has no place in that specific moment. Like, why? It was
Yeah, I think it's like
yeah,
you
it
get
was
producers and you
crazy.
get people in charge of the show who don't have the passion for the drama of a game show or the I think there's a certain poetry to putting a good game show together and knowing how to stage it
Absolutely.
and how to reveal and how to all that stuff.
And again, with like that game specifically, like they've tried to follow the wrong things. Like they've tried to ask questions about Twitter. The show it wasn't live in Russia, and ask question about Twitter, ask questions like about social media, and was again showed on the network with the average age of 45 or whatever. Just it didn't work that way. The set looked cheap. The money was obviously fake. You can see like it's bricks, not just bags of money. But they keep
Oh, that's too
telling that
bad.
it's
Yeah.
real.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, not that I have experience in making fake money look real, but I mean, it's not that difficult. Why did you just? Why did you just like I don't know, like it literally looked like they picked like a pack of like printer paper, sliced it, and just slapped a couple 500s on top and bottom, and just showed it. It
That's
looks
too bad. That's not
spectacularly fake.
that is not a show that you want to look cheap. The million
Yeah.
pound, $1,000,000 whatever drop, right?
Oh, and the prize on that show was 10 million rubles. That's a lot of money. So it was supposed to be serious, but they kind of just screwed it up a little in a lot of places, and the result in total was just quite bad.
Oh, that's too bad. Yeah, I hate a bad game show. Although sometimes even the bad ones are fun to watch. We get
Yeah, sometimes it's
sometimes.
so bad it's fun
Oh,
because of how bad it
absolutely.
is.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm a fan of when a production company wants to produce a game show, they'll tape a pilot episode and it's just kind of it's like a demo, to see how the show works and all that. I love the bad ones. I love the ones that don't make it to TV. I think there's something to learn even from those.
Yeah, and sometimes like I like to say like when something ridiculous gets actually approved and it's on the air, people watch it. Like for example, there was this game show years ago in America, I think, about Candy Crush.
That's right.
Like look,
Guinness
yeah,
World Record for the largest touchscreen.
yeah, like
Yep.
it's not that one person had this idea and made the show. It's a lot of people, a lot of quite a number of producers who are, I suppose, quite smart, agreed that that thing is okay to make. Like a lot of smart TV people thought that that's okay
That's right.
and made it.
It made it past so many sets of eyes, and nobody stopped them and said, "Wait
Yeah,
a minute."
yeah, and nobody thought that. Wait, what are we doing? Like, yeah, it's insane. Like, it's so obvious. Like, it can be fun, like as a like one-off, just to promote the app or whatever. Like, yeah, whatever. But
Sure,
to
but no,
try
that
to
was a
make it
series. Yeah.
yeah, to make it a series, it is insane.
It's unbelievable. I'm trying to think of other shows like that. I was on a show in 2013, I believe, called The Million-Second Quiz. And it was supposed to it was a quiz that took place for 1 million seconds, and whoever had the most money, I think, at the end of that time got an extra $1 million on top of it or something like that. I don't remember. It was a very complicated game, more complicated than it needed to be, but the whole thing took place in a giant hourglass on top of a skyscraper in New York City.
Oh dear. Okay.
And so the thing about the show was that anyone could be a contestant. So all you had to do was show up, wait in line, and you get your turn playing against whoever's winning the quiz at that particular time. And if you beat them, you take their money and then you sit in that chair and everyone faces you. So I waited in line for about 12 hours to play this game and I lost immediately because I was okay at trivia back then. I'm a little more okay now, but that felt to me like one of those shows where I think they might have even designed the set before they figured out the game. I think that happens
Yeah.
sometimes, where producers say something like, I want to make a big hourglass.
You do it
And then they
backwards,
do
yeah.
it, right, and then they have to think of a game to fit inside it rather than what I think should be the other way around. Think of a fun game and then think of a fun way to develop it, to flesh it out.
Yeah, yeah, it happens. Quite often it's very obvious that that's what happened. You see that that's like the game exists because of that one thing in the game. That's like with that hourglass. I guess it works.
In your
You
experience,
see that they started there. Yeah.
yeah, right, absolutely. Yeah, I think it happens more often than we realize where, they wanna make something that looks good and then the game in a negative way comes secondary, to the set and to the visual aspect of it. In your experience, Mike, the idea of being in the right place at the right time, the way you were in that way that kickstarted your game show career on the set of The Weakest Link, is that experience common where you are? Is that typical? Do you know of any other person in your life for whom something like that has materialized?
Oh boy, like well, the short answer would be no. I don't think I know people like that, but it's kind of like I've brought a couple of my friends into that. I've pointed them out they my friends who are game show lovers as well. Like like I can like we need question writers. Like come with me and do this for me. You can do this with me, but like that when you're just standing in the corner, just come on, we need somebody to do that. Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, I never heard about those stories. And it actually, like, for me specifically, like, it makes me kind of afraid. Like, I have no idea how to look for a job because I never had to. Like every job that I had, TV or not, like, it just fell into my hands. I was very lucky about it. Like if something happens and I don't have this job anymore, I have no idea what to do. I don't know what the resume is. Like I don't know, and it makes me like worry a little because of
Yeah,
how
no,
crazy all the
I can
experience were.
understand that. When I think of the game show industry in the context of Hollywood, of California, I hear so many stories about shows getting canceled unexpectedly, and then all of a sudden, the staff of the show has, they have no job and they have to go find something
Yeah.
else. Hopefully, they can find another show to work on. And to me, that life just seems so unstable, and I don't know that my anxiety would allow for that. I need that stability.
Yeah, it's a risky career. Let's put it this way. Yeah. Yeah,
And I
because
wonder,
shows get canceled right and left all the time.
right? And I wonder if you have any advice for somebody like you who loves game shows, maybe wants to work in that industry, but doesn't have the ability or the, who, or, who, who wouldn't put themselves out there. I wonder if you have any advice for an aspiring game show industry veteran.
Well, I guess I mean what I did, I was just going to tapings all the time. Like the people from productions teams, like they've started to recognize me. They know me now, and that's why what happened. That's why I was just immediately like, okay, we need a person. Yeah, he's the guy because he knows the game. He knows what to do. And if you become, I guess, if you become a recognizable face on the sets of game shows, it can happen to you too. I mean, I'm not saying like it's how do I say this? Like people are always needed in TV production. There is never enough people. There's never enough time. That's what we say quite often. People are always needed, and it obviously will start as something very basic. Like what I did, I was just standing there next to people listening to what they're saying, and it grew into what I have right now. I was genuinely like, I did not. I wasn't exactly looking for it. It just happened, and here I am. But if you're looking for it, like you can try, you absolutely can try that. And I mean, I'm here. That's my job now. So yeah, it can lead to this. It won't make no harm to try.
Tell Us About Yourself. Conversations with Game Show Contestants is hosted, produced, and edited by me, Christian Carrion, from my studio in beautiful downtown Lancaster City, Pennsylvania. Co-executive producer Cory Anotado. Researcher Chuck Donegan. This has been a production of BuzzerBlog, the most popular game show website in the world, in partnership with the National Archives of Game Show History at the Strong National Museum of Play in Rochester, New York. For more information, visit museumofplay.org. Thank you so much for listening. I'm Christian Carrion. Good night. Tell Us About Yourself is sponsored by bonusround.ca, streaming Canada's classic game shows on demand. Dive into the golden age of television with thousands of episodes of Canadian series that defined an era from anywhere in the world, all for just $1.99 a month. From iconic shows like Let's Make a Deal and Definition to cult classics like Bumper Stumpers and The Mad Dash, bonusround.ca brings you timeless entertainment that's fun, enlightening, and affordable. For less than the price of a cup of coffee, relive the magic of Canadian television history. Subscribe now at bonusround.ca for $1.99, download the free Bonus Round app on iOS, Android, and Roku, and turn every night into Game Show Night. By Game Show Forensics. In a world where game show imperfections go unchecked, where judgment calls are questionable, and where clocks tick with unsynced inaccuracy, there is but one elite force to investigate it all. Armed with the latest in atomic electromagnetometer and gas chromatography mass spectrometry technology, Game Show Forensics is always on the case. Join Robert McKee and his elite squad of game show scientists as they dive headfirst into the most absurd depths possible at GameShowForensics.com. Adult discretion is advised. And by The Inn at Leola Village. Nestled in the heart of picturesque Pennsylvania, the Inn at Leola Village is a sanctuary of luxury and relaxation. Indulge in the timeless beauty of their historic suites, each meticulously designed to transport you to a bygone era of elegance and grace. Experience the culinary delights of their award-winning Italian restaurant, where every dish is a masterpiece crafted from the finest local ingredients. From romantic getaways to corporate retreats, the Inn at Leola Village offers a haven for every occasion. Unwind at the spa, stroll through the lush gardens, and let the stress of everyday life melt away. Make your reservation today at theinnatleolavillage.com or call the front desk at area code 717-656-7002. The Inn at Leola Village, an oasis of luxury.